Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Hello, boys and girls. This is the show I really didn't want to be doing today. I think it's a bit of an obvious one to say that, isn't it? I think first and foremost, we need to. I've seen so much negativity in the last 12 hours towards Pep, towards the team, and the I say that with a bit of bated breath because obviously my title show, he said I've titled it "He Pepped It Up," which I think we'll go into a bit more detail later. But we need to firstly, I think, do a massive well done to the City team, management and board to getting us to 28 wins. I think what we've achieved as a team, and to get us to the stage yesterday, getting beat by United is a massive kick in the teeth. It's a real big sucker punch. There's no doubt about that. Losing to United at the best of days isn't great. Nobody will ever admit it will be. But at the end of the day, the team, the backroom staff, the players, the teams took us on the journey over the last couple of months, which has been fantastic, and one that was only that City betted their own record, and we have to say a big well done to City. It's just a real shame it fell to the hands of United, and I think that's why the team and the management are taking a bit of a kicking recently. Cloud, what have you seen on the social media? Have you seen much in the way of congratulations, or has it all been doom and gloom and the world's coming to an end?
Yeah, there's been a lot of overreactions. The first thing that I would like to say, it really is that as supporters, I think City fans, especially lately, I know, you've seen them and I've seen them growing up. City used to get battered all the time. We never used to win in these derby days. And I think we've become bad fans. I think we've become very spoiled. And after that happened, watching the whole game, what was running through my head was, okay, when your team get you on a 28 game unbeaten run, when they get you 21 wins without losing, you kind of have to stand by them after everything they've given to you as well. You've got to be a good supporter and stay off social media. And also, you've got to give the respect to United. United came out hungry with desire, and they played tactically an absolutely excellent game. They were so well in how they played. City weren't bad, but eventually the streak had to come to an end, and it just sucks that it happened against United. But we have to deal with that.
Absolutely, I couldn't say it less.
Bad, but eventually the streak had to come to an end, and it just sucks that it happened against United. But we have to deal with that.
When the next time we play United, a better reason to come back and beat them. I think it's a bit too much if you go on to social media and start blaming everyone, because at some point you're gonna have to accept that United were just a better team that day. It was not meant to be. Yeah.
What's your thoughts, Tibbs?
Yeah, I didn't see too much of a reaction on my side. What I did see was obviously people feeling sad that not only had we lost, but we lost to United in the derby. But I did see some interesting memes about how, now we're only 11 points clear, things of that nature. So yeah, it's somewhat reminiscent, I think, of what was it, the 2017-18 season, the Centurion season, when we could have finished ahead and against United and didn't. But I'm not worried for the league. It just sucks that we lost this one game.
It's funny you say that, because the aging City fan in me is now worried for the league. I cannot tell you how enormous the game against Southampton is for City now on Wednesday. It is absolutely imperative that City come out of the blocks all singing, all dancing. If we're not going hell to leather to smash Southampton on Wednesday night, I'll be extremely, extremely worried. One chap on wanting me to discuss this on Twitter, Cameron, and we need to put the derby behind us. Yes, we're going to go into it in a moment. We're going to go into a bit of information and a bit more detail on where we think it went wrong. But Cloud, I want you to come in on this and tell me, Wednesday's enormous. Wednesday's massive. Wednesday's a cup final for me. We need to get this behind us now and move on. And in a way, do you remember a couple of months ago, maybe it's a season or so ago, where City were so dominant, and if we got a beat or a draw, we come back the next team and we absolutely wipe the floor with them. we need to be doing that again, don't we?
Yeah, absolutely. Ever since about the Arsenal game, I've just not been convinced. It never seems like we're getting into that top gear, and they need a reaction. I think the winning streak was actually a bit of a bad thing because I think they got it into their heads that even if on an off day they could go in and walk over anyone, and they came up against United, they probably got into about third gear, and it wasn't enough. It needs to be an immediate reaction. We need to go out there, with desire to win and not just think that teams are going to hand us the title or hand us the games. And, it has to be done because, okay, maybe this is a good thing coming into like the Champions Leagues and things like that, find our form again, find our feet again. But in the meantime, you do actually need to show something on the pitch. You need to show energy. And Daniel said it last week on the podcast, and I agree with him. We need to start showing a lot more energy in our games.
100%, and there's 3 players I want to highlight to talk to you about. One's Walker, one's KDB, and another one is Jesus. And they're just 3 names out of a hat of, I could have picked 7 players I'd want to talk about, and I'm sure we will at some point talk about a few others. I'm going to start off with the dissection of this game, just by mentioning 5 key points which I want to kind of tick off and get out there straight away. It's obvious the early goal rocked us. What Jesus was doing, making a tackle there when there was 3 defenders literally no more than 2 yards away from the United player. I just can't believe it. A massive rush of blood to the head. But anyway, errors are made. We move on. Errors in the final third. We're not being clinical enough. If that game wasn't, if the City hierarchy haven't already signalled that we need a striker, a 30 goal a year striker, that for me is the massive flag in the ground saying, listen, Haaland, how much do you want? We'll pay it you. Let's go and get him. We had massive problems dealing with United's counter-attacks. United were brilliant yesterday, as far as I can see, were going forward. I wouldn't say brilliant, they were good. They were good going forward, and they just knew how to penetrate and get behind us and cause us problems. When I looked at that United team sheet yesterday, I wasn't worried. I wasn't concerned one bit. How wrong was I? When the second goal went in, the wheels came off. I just felt there was no way back for us. And the chance after chance after chance that we missed, and Addy, I'll come to you first. We've talking about this, and what did you make of their penalty? It was 30, 35, 40 seconds, wasn't it, or something like that? It's so how are the teams supposed to pick themselves up straight away from that?
I think the penalty was a bit. I don't know what Jesus was doing there, but it was a mistake, and we can move on from that. I think the team after that penalty was conceded, I think they should have shown a little more heart because I felt like they gave up right after he scored.
Already signalled that we need.
They should have tried to come back. I mean, at least another goal. They had the most of possession. They had they had more shots on goal. I think that's where they should have come up with a goal or two.
Tibbs, what did you make of the errors that we've made going forward and the clinical chances that we're missing? Why are we not being as ruthless as we have been in scoring goals?
I don't know. It's quite frustrating. Obviously, we know that this team does that this season. That we've had a lot of shots, and sometimes it takes a lot in order to generate some bigger chances. I'm just looking at the stats now. I'm seeing 23 total shots, 22 chances created, but only 2 big chances. 23 shots, only 6 on target. That's very low for us. And yeah, against this United team, we know that on paper we're much better than them. As you said, looking at the lineups, I wasn't worried either. But we just need to take it seriously, and maybe after that first penalty, we need to show some hubris and just go for it the way that we're able to do with other teams that are not United. I'm thinking of the Wolves game last week, where just a couple minutes after they scored, we were able to get back and get back into the game, score another one, and then take it from here. It was quite frustrating to see this. It was quite frustrating to see passes being intercepted, KDB not really sharp at the moment. I'm sure we'll get to that later. Yeah, just a bit frustrated, honestly. And Jesus making this typical attacker's foul in the box. It doesn't help. I wish someone else had made that foul, not Jesus, because we know that he's going to get so much crap.
Yeah, and I think I'll come on to Jesus. He's one of the three I want to talk about, and his conversion record against the Big Six is quite eye-opening, which we'll talk about shortly. Cloud, what's your thoughts on City's issue with dealing with United's threat and their counters yesterday?
I'm glad you come on to it because I love the tactical
Yeah,
part of this.
I've
Brilliant.
left this one to you.
So, I mean, what they did and how they set up differently to a lot of other teams is they were like, okay, we don't mind you having the ball. Have the ball, but we're going to restrict you to having it to your back line, and it prevents the progressive play. They brought their players inwards, and they were shadow marking De Bruyne, and they were shadow marking Gundogan. At the same time, Fernandes is on Rodri, and the pressure from Rashford on the left, I believe it was going to Cancelo whenever he got the ball. And Cancelo looked very shaky. There was a lot of pressure on him. He never really got into his groove. Now, this is why the ball mostly went to Zinchenko. And if you look at the stats, you'll see he had the most touches of the ball. The problem that we have here is the way that United set up was we had the ball in our fullback, but we couldn't get any progressive play. And that's not a situation that City are ever usually in. So to deal with this, and this is where a lot of criticism I saw about KDB, a lot of people felt, some of you might feel this as well, that KDB entered into Gundogan's area a bit too much, and that sort of held back Gundogan. The reason they did this was they have to drag the markers out of position, they overload that area, create triangles, and then play the quick switch to Mahrez. Cancelo, in the meantime, would run in front of Luke Shaw into the half space, and that opens up Mahrez on the right. And that's why you see Mahrez would throw a dummy and then cut inside, cut outside, put Shaw on the floor. And that's kind of what City were going with, trying to overload those areas, because they couldn't build up as they were normally doing. The reason we don't see this done a lot is you have to be so on top of your game from a defensive standpoint, know your area, know who you're marking. Not every team can do it. And that's why it was brilliant with United, how they managed to keep that composure for 90 minutes. And then we never got into that final third. They were very, very great. So we had a lot of shots, but if you look at the XG, there's never like a huge spike coming up. And in terms of, I won't analyse the first goal because it's a moot point, but for the second goal, what was happening? Cancelo was coming back into a back four, and this isn't me slating Cancelo, by the way, and Mahrez was trying to press the centre-backs. So Maguire could then loop the ball over him, go to Shaw. Cancelo's then faced with Rashford on the left and Luke Shaw. He's in a 2v1. Diaz can't come over and support him because then Zinchenko and Stones have got too wide of an area. They can break the lines. And Fernandes will come through. Martial will come through. And, okay, it was a pretty lucky second goal going through Rodri's legs. But that's how, really, we played ourselves in a way. We just weren't ready to deal with them on that night.
Mm-hmm.
Well said. It's a funny one with KDB and Gundogan. I'm starting to feel that they can't play. Remember that thing about Paul Scholes and Gerrard and Lampard not being able to play in England's midfield together? I'm starting to have that vibe about Gundogan and KDB. I felt yesterday and the game before that KDB's not been up to scratch, and he definitely shadowed, or certainly put a shadow over Gundogan's presence in the game. Gundogan's not been the same player since he's been back, and KDB's been back in the same team. It's getting to a stage now where I don't see KDB. That's the worst game I've ever seen KDB play for City. I'm going to have to get that straight off my chest and say that. You know, for him to start at the expense of Bernardo or Foden was a really bad decision for me. Foden, Manchester born and bred, hates United more than anybody in City's academy, as far as I can see.
I feel like they brought him on too late.
He did massively. He brought him on 75 minutes too late. He should have started. He should have started. And I put a post out a couple of days ago about KDB playing in the false nine position and playing starting Foden off the bench. But having witnessed what I saw yesterday with KDB, I just can't understand why KDB came in at the expense of Bernardo or Foden. I think in the games like this, you need to have the energy of both of those players, and not having them was footballing suicide for me. And I'm going to come on to the Southampton game in a little bit later on, but I'd be really disappointed if I see Bernardo or Foden on the bench again, because I just don't think it's deserved from them. Here's a question for you, and this is a really tough question, because I've not seen this proved. I don't know if Pep takes the derby seriously. I just can't show myself to. Does he just see it as a normal game? In my head, the team we played yesterday needed to be 11 City fans going up against United, and I didn't see any passion, fight, determination. I could have pulled off 5 or 6 or 7 players from that game yesterday and put academy kids in that I thought would have given more passion and energy than them, and that really hurts me to say that. Granted, we probably would have got smashed. I don't mind losing as long as we go out fighting. I really don't, and I felt really disheartened after that game yesterday. I don't know, Addy. What's your thoughts on that? Do you think Pep takes derbies seriously, or do you think it's just another game for him?
I think Pep takes it as seriously as any other game. The team didn't show any fighting spirit after that first goal. Pep, I really can't say much about it. He took it about as any City manager at a derby. He tried to keep calm, but in the end, it just fell out, and the game was out of our hands.
Yeah. I wonder if it was a clear case of Pep overthinking a little bit. I was seeing some tweets over the game as a post-mortem of people saying, Ole just did his thing, and Pep tried to, change the lineup with something that, a lot can be said about this lineup. I think a lot of us expected different things. Foden, Bernardo, who are up until now were very much in shape. So it's, I wonder if maybe he overthought this one the same way that we did against Lyon last year, and
Yeah, I thought exactly the same thing, Tibbs. It's absolutely spot on, pal. I thought exactly the same thing. He's overthought this. He's got the tactics wrong. He's got the player management wrong. I mean, I'll give you an idea. Foden hasn't started in 4 games now. The previous games to that, he had 3 goal contributions from 3 starts. I'm mystified to wonder why Foden's not started the last couple of games.
I think being City fans will always want Foden to start, right? The majority of the time. But in this case, especially if he's not started the past few games, that could have been a good opportunity. And yeah, the other thing. No, I'm losing my train of thought. Sorry.
No, one thing I wanted to ask you guys about is a really good question here, a really good point here made by, Steve McGuire. Thanks, Steve, on Facebook. Pep's a genius, but his refusal to make changes annoys me, as he feels like it's almost verging on arrogance. What do you think about that, Cloud?
So there's 2 things, really. The first one is I do think he makes changes a lot too late. It's never before the 60th minute unless it's really an injury, and I don't really see the point in not doing that. Immediately after the second goal went in, and I could see way before, I would have made some changes. I'm not the manager, I'm not going to be, but I do agree with that sentiment. The other is I understand not making changes early on all the time, because when you play a game, you normally play with what you believe in your heart is your best 11, which would make sense. But when you go 2-0 down, when there's a lack of effort, when there's a lack of energy, and let's be honest, it was mainly in the final third. I don't think anyone saw anything wrong with the defence, yet Cancelo was a bit shaky at times. Zinchenko, for me, was man of the match. The midfield, yes, there were some issues, but for all the hate that KDB gets, he did create one of those 2 big chances. So I can maybe understand if Pep thinks he would have got into his groove. But the front 3, they were not at their best, and they haven't been at their best in some time. And we were not pressing effectively enough And at that point, I would be thinking going to the second half. If Foden doesn't come on at halftime, you've got 10 minutes tops to show me something, or he's coming on. And I'd be saying that's each of the front three.
Absolutely.
If you don't show me something in the next 10 minutes, you're coming off.
Bernardo's had moments this season where he's been in the form of his life. Absolute form of his life. And I just can't... I can't fathom him or Foden not starting, or both of them together. I really can't.
I would have started.
Yeah, I mean, Jesus and Sterling haven't scored against United for City. Never. Never. And, you know, I know that doesn't form, etc., etc. That doesn't count. You've got to do it first time, etc. I know Sterling's done it against Liverpool this year. But, again, Fernandinho, brilliant against United in the last derby in the Cup. Absolutely brilliant. And he was benched. I feel like we needed that level-headedness to come in. But, you know, I mean, Pep said himself, didn't he? What did he say? The exact words is going on the screen now. Congratulations to United. Now we arrive in the most important part of the season. We need 6 or 7 wins to be champions. Maybe Aguero could have played. Maybe I made the wrong decision. No one knows. I know, Pep. I know you made the wrong decision. And a lot of City fans know you made the wrong decision. You should have made substitutions sooner. And when you need a goal, why is Aguero not coming on? When you need 2 goals, why is Aguero not coming on? I couldn't fathom it yesterday. Has something happened between him and Aguero, or has he just lost confidence with him, or is he worried about him picking up another injury, or is he going? Is that it? Is he done now?
I think it's just a question of fitness or when he's coming back from those. But I think I would have started Bernardo over De Bruyne or Jesus. It was clearly just a matter, like, Pep made a mistake. How many subs do we have? 3 subs this season, or due to the pandemic?
Yeah, it's 3 of a choice of a few more.
Yeah. We could have made 1 more sub earlier. We could have had all 3 of those subs come on at any time during the game, but Pep decided to put it like later off, like a student like putting off their homework until later in the year. Yeah, it didn't make sense. We could have had more attacking players come on and just switch our groove to putting more pressure on United, and they would have conceded if we went with that sort of mindset, but Pep decided to just stick with his game plan, and I guess that's just what happened to us.
Is it Justin Barber? Hi Justin, hope you're well, pal. If Cunn needs match fitness for Champions League, how's he going to get it? He needs to be playing these games. I want him to start now against Southampton. I don't know if he will though. That's my only concern. It's a tough one, this. I'm going to move on to Jesus. He's a worry for me now. He's scoring some goals for us, which is fantastic. He's only young. He's still 23, 24, 22, 23, 24, something like that.
22, 23.
Yeah, so for me, yeah, great, fantastic. He's coming on. He's not a Sergio Aguero. We can fully accept that. But just to give you an idea, 43 appearances against the Big Six. 43 appearances against the Big Six, and he's scored 7 goals. Of those 43, he's had 18 starts, and he's scored 5 goals from the starts. It's not good enough. He's not good enough from those records. He needs to mature in footballing terms over the next couple of years to get anywhere near the boots that Sergio Aguero is going to be leaving. Which tells me we need to go out and we need to spend big on a Sergio replacement quickly.
I genuinely wonder what's going to happen this summer, assuming that, just like every rumor out there has it, that we're going to go for a striker. We know that we need a striker. We don't know what's going to happen with Aguero, but I especially don't know what's going to happen with Jesus. Like, is he going to be happy to have someone else be the main striker and for him to sometimes start and sometimes come off the bench? I don't really know.
I think we need to take that off his hands. From the statistics I've got in front of me, he doesn't deserve to be the main striker. He just doesn't deserve it. He's got to accept that. If he wants to be the main striker, he needs to be scoring goals, and he needs to not be giving stupid penalties away. Sorry, that's probably nothing to do with it, is it? But
no, it's okay. Of course. I'm just like, it's so frustrating. Obviously, he tends to miss certain chances. Sterling does as well. Other players do as well. The thing that I admire with Jesus is the way that he runs to really like put pressure when the opponent has the ball. And aside from Bernardo doing it occasionally on certain balls in certain games, I don't think anyone does it quite like Jesus. And it's so frustrating that he's so good at this, but we also need him to like score, and he doesn't always do that, not consistently, anyways.
Yeah, it's true. Can either of you three put an argument to tell me that Gabriel's going to be our main striker next season? No? Can we?
I think if we get a striker in the transfer window, it's definitely more of a competition. But if we get like one of those top 5 strikers, Jesus might lose his position as our number 1 seed, like Erling Haaland or anyone, considering joint that is gonna get, especially with all the money that City is considering investing in him. I think if they spend that much money on him, they're not gonna put him on the bench or let Jesus start over him.
Yeah, I've not seen enough from Jesus to be the number 1 striker for City. I've really not. I mean, there's an argument to say he's not a striker. There's an argument to say he plays better on the left wing, and interchanges. So he's always going to be in and around the first team, isn't he? For the options he brings to the team up front.
I think it's down to when I kind of look at it from an analytical point and the players that Pep has. I'm just going to name like a random lineup that kind of suits my agenda for this argument, which would be Ederson, Cancelo, Stones, Laporte, Zinchenko, Rodri, De Bruyne, Gundogan, Foden, Jesus, and say either Torres or Bernardo on the right wing. Now, when you look at that objectively as a starting 11, that seems to look awfully a lot like 11 midfielders. And I feel that Aguero's ready to play, but the way Pep is and the way the Spanish national team was around that time, it's more about having everyone play like a midfielder than having an out-and-out striker. And that might be something to do with it, his build-up play. His build-up play is fine, but when you need goals, you need an out-and-out. You need someone with an eye for goal. You need an out-and-out striker to come in. And I think that might be one of the problems where we're playing too much of that one-touch football, but not getting into that final third. It's a recurring theme. It's not something I'm too worried about at this point because it is just the one loss. But the lack of goals we've scored in this season particularly, which just coincides with the fact that our main striker's been out for the majority of the season, is definitely something playing in my mind for the future, and especially the Champions League.
Can't argue with that.
When we talk about whoever else could come at City at the striker position, for me, I'm starting to think. So I've talked before a couple of weeks back about how much I really like Lukaku. He's not, the first on the list. Obviously, everyone wants Haaland, and maybe if not Haaland, then maybe Mbappe, whoever knows. But when I look at how Inter Milan is playing with Lukaku doubling up with Lautaro Martinez, I don't know if Pep would be willing to change his system, but I could see a way that it works with Lukaku playing with us paired with Jesus. Lautaro Martinez at Inter is using that position to press a lot, and quite in a similar way to Jesus. So I wonder whether that could work for us.
It's an interesting one. I can't see us not signing a striker. I'd be absolutely amazed if we didn't sign somebody. The problem we've got is, I say it's a problem. It's not a problem. We don't have the habit of going out and spending big bucks, do we, on the Haalands and the Lukakus of the world. We have a habit of buying the
next gen.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm looking for the right terminology. Next gen's a really good one. Yeah, the player that I don't watch European football. I mean, I'm too busy at the best of times. I focus all my efforts on City. I only knew about Ruben Diaz because one of our admins, Dan, raved about him for months and wouldn't shut up about him as a player we wanted to sign, and lo and behold, we signed him, and so I knew a bit more about him, which is fantastic. But the likes of the Torres of the world, never heard of him, and that's the type of player I can see us bringing in, which worries me because that will make Jesus our number 1 striker. Jesus has all the attributes. He's got his positioning. He just needs to convert more. He just needs to. I don't know what it is. I'm really hoping Jesus goes on next season, if Sergio does leave, to be the number 1 man, so and actually football matures and is the best striker in the club's, and goes on to be a good striker for the club's history. But I just don't know if he can or not, and I don't know. I don't know if he's got it in him, and it frustrates me. Is he going to be the forever number 2? I don't know. Only time will tell, I suppose, with that.
Yeah.
I don't know if like City would be benefited by getting a striker. It might be better to get a midfielder to help out Gundogan, Rodri, and Bueno, or another defender, like maybe a fullback. That I don't know. It would be
What can you say?
effective in Pep's plan.
A fullback's not a bad shout, Addy, because I can't see Mendy being with us much longer. I can't. I think left back. I don't think we can rely on Zinchenko. I thought Zinchenko had a solid game. I think he always does. He gives it 110%, which is exactly what we need. He's just not got the. So there's just something about Zinchenko I'm not sure about. He always seems to be fighting for his place, doesn't he? He always seems to have to fight to start a game in the season. And he's a good run of games, and before you know it, somebody else comes back into position. So
I don't think that Zinchenko is like a number one caliber. I mean, usually if Mendy was like when he was a starter, he was like amazing, and Zinchenko usually sat on the bench. I think it's just the contract of Mendy. I think that's why they're sitting him out. Am I correct?
Yeah, Mendy's got a couple of years left, hasn't he?
Yeah, and I think the City would benefit from getting maybe a younger or a better fullback if they have the money, just to replace Zinchenko or Mendy. You might put him on the bench and then start in a couple occasional games. I could see that happening.
And Kyle Walker's not getting any younger too. He's one of the players I wanted to have a chat about because I thought he showed more passion in the 25 minutes he came on than most of the team in 90 minutes, which is really worrying. Kyle Walker's not getting any younger. He's still got a couple of seasons left in him, I feel, and he's obviously still rapid, which is brilliant. But yeah, right, he's in his 30s now. We're going to have to start looking at a backup for him, or are we thinking that's kind of Cancelo and we bring somebody else in at left back? What do you reckon, Cloud? Walker's got a couple of years left in him, hasn't he?
Yeah, I mean, physicality-wise, Kyle's still up there. He's fantastic. He's still got his pace. In terms of his playability, I talked about this, in the Discord the other day. My only problem with him, he seems to be more reactive than proactive in the way that he is. Sometimes he can leave space open. Sometimes he's a bit too, gung-ho and things like that. But he is quite a good player. Would I have had him against the game at United, even, seeing the passion? Probably not, because I remember before he used to leave that far post unmarked, and that was definitely a concern for me. I'm not looking at the game too much with confirmation bias, like Walker could have changed this or Bernardo could have changed that, because we still could have lost, and judging by what we saw, we probably would have. But I do think he's got at least, I know we signed an extension, I think Walker's probably good for at least another 2 or 3 years. I think Cancelo's always going to have that number one spot the way that he's playing right now. But as you've said, he's got so much passion, so much drive, and it was evident against Real Madrid in the Champions League. I think he's still absolutely fine for a few more years. And maybe it's just the position he plays, but the passion that he shows sometimes, he reminds me a lot of Zaba. Just the way that he is.
Yeah, I see that.
Fights. Yeah.
I see that.
I don't know if Pep's willing to do this, but Walker, he likes getting up the flank and helping you get into that final third. I don't know if Pep's gonna do this, but you could run a 4-4-2 with Walker on the right mid, essentially when he goes up the flank, creating a 4-2-4. And then you could get another fullback to replace Walker, and then he could become an excellent midfielder or providing crosses and creating opportunities for City like he does as a fullback in general.
I feel like we've digested enough there. Have we got anything else to add about the derby before we move on?
No, let's move on.
Fantastic, great. So we talked about this at the start of this. Our cup final is Wednesday night, Southampton, 6 o'clock kickoff, another early kickoff. Tibbs, what do you want to see from City on Wednesday night? What can we do to rectify?
I want to see a good old-fashioned spanking. And what I mean by that is Southampton is the team that has 2 seasons in a row lost 9-0 to a different team, I think. So I would love for us to put in a great performance, react after the loss to United, and yeah, just get the job done easily. Come up with a strong lineup, strong team. Like some players, like we've mentioned, Bernardo hasn't played, Foden didn't start against United, so it'd be nice to see them in the starting lineup and put on a great performance. And who knows, maybe Pep can even go and make 3 changes around 65, 70 minutes if we're dominating the game 3-0 up. Like I'm projecting, but really I want to see us beat Southampton heavily. Sorry in advance for the Saints. But yeah, I think we need to put in a good performance and yeah, just get a job done.
Reaction's,
Get back to
reaction's such a good word there.
I don't think if we win at least 4-0, it's going to be a disappointment. I mean, we do have the quality, and members of the team, they do have the potential to score that much. If we don't win by that much, it'll be a waste of the game for me.
And I think Southampton have. I think Danny Ings is injured too. If I'm.
Yeah. He's a massive threat. I mean, they're 14th in the league. They're on a shocking record. The last 5 games they've won. Where are they? They've won 1, and that was 5 games ago. After that, they've lost 2, drawn 1, and lost 1. If anything, this is the perfect game for City to bounce back, but it counts for nothing. We've just lost a game. We need to pull together and go forward, and we really need to go out from the first minute and try and capitalise, not give away stupid errors, and really go for it. Kyle, what are you expecting to see on Wednesday? What do you want to see?
I want to see a shake-up in the squad. I would love for a front 3 of Foden, Aguero and Torres, but it's not going to happen.
That's what I've put as well. Sorry, go on.
I don't want to see Sterling play. Like I say, I'm not slating the guy because he's done wonders for my club. He's got a fantastic attitude, but he's not been on fire lately, and he's a professional. If you're not firing all cylinders, you need to work your place back into the team. It's nothing personal. I'm not saying sell him, but rotate. Get the other players in. Say, show me something. And to the rest of them say, your positions aren't secure. I mean, we put 4 goals back Wolves, but after we got the second goal in, which we were lucky to get that second goal, Wolves crumbled. We weren't that good that we got the 4 goals past them. They let the second goal in, and then they let it go from there. They beat themselves, and that's the problem. We're not beating other teams. We're not scoring the goals like we did back in 18-19, back in 17-18, and we need to get back to that and quickly.
Mm-hmm. And give Raz a rest. I mean, he's played like almost every game, I think, in the starting lineup. That'll be good.
Yeah, I think Sterling needs a rest. Yeah.
Yeah, we could put Torres, Foden, or Silva, and they're all amazing choices. If we had a front 3 of just them, that would be all goals all day, I think.
I'll give you an idea of my team for the game. I think I did this last night, so I was a bit grumpy when I did it. Ederson, I've kept Walker in, Stones and Diaz and Zinchenko. I've put Bernardo, Rodri, Gundogan, Torres, Aguero, Foden. So I've dropped KDB, I've dropped Sterling, I've brought Sergio back in. I think Foden and Bernardo, I can't see any argument not to play either of them. I think Gundogan's an obvious one. I think Rodrigo's an obvious one. The only iffy one there is Torres. But I think, you know what, it's time to give him a shout. It's time to give him a chance. I can't see this team in a month of Sundays. It'll probably be 5 or 6 players different to this. We know Pep. We know what Pep will do. Pep will start Sterling. Pep will start Kevin De Bruyne. Pep will start Jesus, because they're the 3 players people are criticising the most. So he'll start. I'm absolutely convinced of that. But that's the team I want to see. Can you see any difference in that defence then? Cancelo didn't have the best game. I'm really disappointed with his performance. So I've gone for Walker, Stones, Diaz and Zinchenko. Can anyone put an argument in for anyone else to fit into that back 4?
Laporte.
Tell me about it. What do you think?
I would put him in. I like his line-breaking passes. He's got such a great attitude. He's always there to fight. Not that Stones and Diaz aren't. I do agree. I think Cancelo should probably miss a game. He had a bad game. It's nothing against him. I just think he's been overworked. Walker also deserves the game time. Cancelo's still the number 1, but for this game, rotation, rest and rotation.
Yeah.
I want Laporte to come in. I want to see him build that chemistry with Diaz, or Stones, and then left back. It's still Zinchenko as shoo-in for me. I mean, like I said, I would love to see Mendy play again, but if Pep's not going to use him, don't bother playing, because he would need a run of games as well. But yeah, that back line is fantastic, and even if Diaz and Stones do play together again, they're a brilliant partnership. So I've got no complaints.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, isn't it? Have you got any, right? Well, anyone else, anything else to add, lads, before we shoot on and do score predictions for Wednesday? No, we'll move on to then. Addy, what's your thoughts, pal?
I don't know about the formation we had. I think we ran 4-2-3-1 with Jesus at the sole striker and then De Bruyne, Sterling, and Martin. Right? All right. Actually, I'm just looking at the game records, but we could have run a better formation. 4-3-3, like that. Like De Bruyne, one holding midfielder, two central attacking midfielders, and then three up front. That would have been good. Like Pep does it for most of his games. That would have created a lot more chances and would have kept our midfield solid, and we would have run the game by itself. That would have been it.
Is there any argument to have Ake in the team? On the
I was going to say the next game after Southampton is actually Fulham, who's getting a little better, but is still, close enough to relegation that I think I would probably give Ake a start, not for the Southampton game, but for Fulham, and see how fit he is.
Yeah, I can't disagree with that. Addy, what's your score prediction for the Southampton game on Wednesday?
I have to say at least 4-0. That's like I said, 4-0 or 4-1 possibly if they get one score in.
There's a confident 4 there. Tibbs, what are you thinking? I can see you looking.
Yeah, I'm trying to think about it. I think it's not out of the question to see a 4-0. Yeah, I'm going to side with Addy there.
4-0. Cloud, what are you thinking?
4-0, yeah.
I think we're only going to get 2-0. I think Sterling's going to play, not because he's our best forward option. I think just because he's one of the best at tracking back. I think that's why he retains his place, because he plays in the system so well. I think that's going to hurt our creativity a lot, and I think we're only going to get 2 goals in.
Perfect. Right, before we go, if you're interested, you have 45 minutes to get onto our Facebook or Twitter or Instagram page to win a Ferran Torres signed shirt. Get over there. There's 99 tickets available, and there's 99 tickets on offer. I think we're over halfway now. There's going to be a draw at 7:30 tonight, so if you want a chance to win in a framed signed Torres shirt, get over there. Future star in the making. And for me, I'd love to see Ferran up front at some point in the next couple of games. I think he's got a good position and good strike opportunities, and I think he's definitely one of the future. So get on there and get a signed shirt. Lads, Discord boys, absolute pleasure as always. We're going to love you and leave you there. We'll talk to you in a couple of days, and hopefully I won't be as grumpy next time we talk. That would be nice, wouldn't it? I'm not grumpy.
It sounds good.
It's only football. Cheers, lads. See you soon. Thanks for watching.